So I'm going to show you a sleight of hand technique. It's literally impossible to see, even in slow motion.
Okay.
But by the end, there's a way that you can almost see it happen. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. So just reach in, just take out anyone you want. I'm going to get you to write your name on it. Okay. So just put your name. It doesn't have to be your name. It could be anything.
Anything. Something to mark it.
That's exactly it. That way, you know, even if I had a duplicate, I don't have one with your name on or whatever it is you put on there, it's fine. Okay. Okay, and just place it like it doesn't matter where, because I'm not going to go through and try and find it. It's not that type of thing.
Okay.
Are you any good at like shuffling, stuff like that? Could you give any kind of mix?
I'm fairly good.
Okay, good.
I need like a table to do the whole
That's
thing.
fine, that's perfect.
I'm gonna try my best here.
All right, it's good. They're definitely mixed.
Yeah,
all right, well, here's the go.
I'm sorry.
Wait. Before you give them back, just check to make sure it's not on top or bottom, like your one. Right, just make sure.
Correct.
Okay, good. Right, okay. So now, here's what I said. I said that at the beginning that this was effectively something that's impossible to see. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep this right up at the fingertips like this, so that you can see there's nothing going on. Ready?
Okay.
Now, what was it, by the way?
My card?
Yeah.
Ace of spades.
Okay. The idea is I'm going to get it to go from wherever it is in your shuffle, like this, all the way up to the top, right in front of your eyes. Ready?
Get the out of here. Yo. That's crazy.
All right, it gets crazy. So are you right or left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Okay. Take your right hand, lift off about half the cards for me. Just take your right.
Take half?
Yeah, lift.
Okay.
That's it. And just put on top. Watch, look. Do this again. Look, right up here like this. Watch. So right there.
Yo, if that's
Wait. Look. Dude, come in. This gets so much worse.
No.
Watch this. Look.
There's no way.
It does. Look, this gets worse. Look, even if, for example, if we lose this inside, ready? We put this somewhere random, okay? So right now, like, hopefully it's not like here, it's not here, it's not here. Okay, ready?
It's
what?
not.
We're gonna do the same
Yo,
thing.
if that, yo, I'm done.
Wait. Look, don't look away. Come in, look. What we're gonna do is just get this to breathe like that. You can almost see that breathe all the way up to the top.
Done. I am done.
I want to get you to see it. Do you want to see it?
I hate you.
Okay,
I literally hate you right now.
It's a shame. I love you. It's fine.
No. And you see, she's calling me. Oh my God.
All right, look. You're going to see this.
Listen, I'm not even a plant. Like literally, just pick me up.
Right,
that's crazy.
We're gonna get this to go slow. Watch. Ready? Slow. Ready?
Yes.
Like this. One more time, ready? I said to you I was going to let you see it happen. Ready? Come in, I'll show you. You can see it. Watch. Come in.
You got me over here crying right now.
Okay,
you know,
look.
that's all right.
This look, what I want to do is this, with your name on it.
Yes.
I'm actually put a bend in it, just so that you can actually see the bend. So now what this means is if I put that in the middle, you can actually see the bend. Watch, ready?
Yeah.
I said you were going to see it. Watch. 1, 2, 3.
I hate you.
But the idea with this is to try and get your card from wherever it is. I'm going to get this to go slowly, like this, all the way up to the top. 1.
No. Yo. How the hell?
Just there like that. Shelby. Comes all the way out. Favor, lift off about half the cards for me, about half. Watch, look. Put on top, but watch. Don't take your eyes off. Look at this. From wherever that position is like that, you get that to go all the way up.
That's crazy.
Okay, look. Put it on top. Ready? Look, watch again. Just from this position here, we just get that to come all the way up to the top.
Wow.
Look, look, getting close, guys, getting close. Because, like, watch, we'll show this a slow. If we do this like this, even if we go through and actually, like, mix these up so that we don't know where it is, like this.
I'm getting a headache, actually.
Ready? So hopefully now it shouldn't be, like, on top or on the bottom of the deck like this. The other is, again, is to do this. You might almost see this happen. It looks like it's breathing like that, and then in that, we get that to come up.
I didn't see it.
Look, we can do this so slow. We can get this in this position.
You can go as slow as you want, dude.
Again and again, like this. And look, just so you know, look, really isn't on top.
That's
look,
not it.
That's not it. Look, but look, watch. Just from here, like this. This comes all the way up. Now, I said I was going to show you this visually, right? Watch this. We can actually put a bend in like this, just so you can see a big bend in the card. Now, look, if we put that bend in the middle of the deck, you can actually see the bend. Watch. This is the moment you're going to see it. Look. 1, 2.
That's insane. That is crazy. Wow.
3, 2, 1. I bet that's your favorite.
That's very nice.
This is the bit you're going to see. Ready? Look, it's going to go on top like this. Like this. Watch very close. Look, 1, 2.
That's cool. I'm going home. That's cool. Stop my time. I'm going home.
That is. Listen, I have seen magic tricks like on TV, and this is real. I hate you. I hate you. I really do. I love him. He's great, but I hate you. That is cool. That's crazy. I hate you. I hate you so much.
All right, Jordan, you will see something else?
Right now, my mind is blown.
Here we are, Unreal ACR. Another one of the effects that have appeared nowhere else. I've never published or put this effect anywhere else. Anyone that is from the family knows that I've got several versions of the ambitious card. ACR stands for ambitious card routine. I think there's something very interesting in it, and I'm always playing with different ways of applying it, using the idea, different structures. And this is another one of those structures. This structure, however, is dealing with a visual moment. It's a specific design where I'm trying to create this impression the entire time for a number of reasons. Now, I'm trying to create the idea of it coming up to the top, but I want this very hands-off feel, like nothing is happening. Super clean. And what it's also doing, it's the entire time, it is conditioning this cleanliness and what this moment looks like, so that at the very end, we're going to use the kind of Charlie Miller pop-up move, one of the best moves in all of ambitious card routine kind of strategy or tactics. It's a beautiful move, but I want to get the most amount of contrast so that that really feels super clean. Now, I like that. There's another way of thinking where you could say, well, if you don't have that and you always have it here, then the end feels super clean. But I want them to feel that they're watching the same thing every time, except that I've just given them a bit deeper insight. So what you'll need, by the way, the only thing you'll need is a pen. Now, we said that you're not going to need anything else apart from a deck of cards. This is true. But there are other things that you also need. You also need clothes, otherwise you get arrested. You probably need a phone so that you don't get lost. You probably need some form of ID and money on you so that you can make your way in the world. There's many things you need. Now, a pen, you just reach out and you just grab a pen from somewhere at some stage. That's all you're going to need. It's not a special pen. This is a Sharpie, but it's not a special pen. It's just a pen. You can use any pen. You don't have to use the Sharpie. But anyway, so you're going to need a pen at some stage. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by saying to someone, I wanted to show you a sleight of hand technique that is literally impossible to see, even in slow motion. And I like this as a hook. I think this is an interesting idea. But I also say, however, there is a way that you can see it. And at the end, I might be able to show that to you. So I love this idea of setting up this thing of saying you're going to see a sleight of hand technique, okay? But it's literally impossible to see, even in slow motion. Now, I don't really know what that means. I suppose you can see it in slow motion, maybe, I suppose. But this effect is going to create that impression. And so I want this to feel super clean. And I say, but there is a way for you to see it at the end. And this is going to kind of create the impression that they're watching the same thing over and over again. Now, this starts in a very simple way. I'm going to say to them, just take out any one that you want. It doesn't matter if I see it. It really doesn't. I just want you to put your name on it, okay? And whatever that is, let's take out a decent card for this. So you hand this to them. They have a pen. Okay. I'm going to put my name on this simply because I definitely know I'm me, I think. I know how to spell my name and do my signature. Well done, me. So I'm going to be so impressed if at the end, Ben, you found my card and done this right. Well, we'll see. So we take this. Now, I've always loved how a signature looks on, or a name looks on a card. A signature always looks a bit better than a name. So often I'll say to them, just sign your name on the card. You can draw a picture, do whatever you want, or just sign your name. I just think it looks nice. Now, in this moment, the other thing is that I often will say, look, it doesn't matter if I see it, it doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes I get them to just take one out. I say, look, take one out, keep it to yourself, and just sign your name on it so that no one knows what it is. I can't describe why, which one I prefer. I do it both ways, all the time. It depends on the environment, I suppose, or how suspicious I already think the group is. If you say, look, take one out, it doesn't matter, I'm going to see it anyway, and put your name on it, it tends to lower suspicion. Now, if you have people that are a little bit kind of suspicious, or you've done something else and they're looking around, this might be a good way to do it. If not, and you feel that you don't have that, then I may as well just kind of preserve this and say, just take one out, write your name on it, do whatever. Fundamentally, it doesn't really matter, because what's going to happen is they're going to place this back. And now I'm going to go into a sequence that, in my opinion, is the best control sequence in the world. It's ancient and seems to have been overlooked by almost everyone. But I think you can't get any better than this. So this will go back, and I do this and say, look, I don't really care what this is. In fact, I want you to give these a shuffle, okay? I'm not even going to do this, you are, okay? So give those a good mix, and they shuffle. And sneaky me, it's definitely my card. I recognize my signature. I have this under control. Now, a couple of things going on in this. You'll notice maybe. So the first thing is that when this card goes back like this, I put this back, I let go, do this. This feels so free and casual. Look at this being held by the fingertips. Doesn't appear to be any control whatsoever. And then shuffling them. And yet we have control of the card. This is a control technique that I developed that I really love, because what happens here is, it's very old. I say I developed it. I mean, I'm sure this has been done before maybe, but it's just, I just remember doing it. So here it is like this. All that's going to happen is this bottom half is controlled here. And this, by the way, isn't the thing that I think is the best control in the world. This is just the nice way that I go into the best control in the world. The best control in the world is old. So we do this, I go on top of it, and all I'm going to do is allow this little finger here to just make sure it sticks above the rest. So as the cards hit it, there's a bit more friction. And it just means that the bottom card, or a couple of cards, are going to stick out over the side. They often stick out at an angle. See that there? And this means that I can just let go of everything and grab this whole corner, knowing that that step is still preserved. Basically, my card is underneath this step here. Okay, you can see that. My card's at the top of this bottom half there. It's underneath that step. I can grab this, and then often I just squeeze the side of these cards, mush them about a bit, do this, and I go as if I'm going to hand it to them. And then I come back and say, and now as I come back into the hand, you see this here, as I come back into the hand, I'm gonna allow my little finger to now push up on that step and regain control of that break. As I then say, I want you to give these a shuffle, and I do a Mahatma shuffle. And then as I'm squaring up, where there's a reason to now, I just palm that card off, and then I hand it to them to shuffling, for shuffling. So just give those a shuffle, like that, we do that. This is the best control in the world. It's one of the old school ways of doing it. There's actually a passage in Erdnase where he talks specifically about using this control. And it's many of the old timer ways, which was, have a card selected, control it, palm it off, and give it out for shuffling. Take the deck back and add it on. And that is just the best, because once they're shuffling, just everything's done. They just absolutely shuffle. There is no control. It involves them in what's happening, and they're now part of this. They've now shuffled it. They know these are real, and there's no control. This just really can't be beat. The only downside is obviously you have to become a bit of a ninja. So you have to know how to palm and hold out comfortably without getting caught. So but that's just part of the fun, So develop that. You can actually become a ninja while doing the best control in the world. So the reason I do this little bit at the beginning where I get them to push I get this pen and I do this first, is I really like this of going to hand it to them first. And then just as their hand starts to move, I say, oh, do you want to give these like a shuffle? And I go through this way and shuffle those cards up. In doing so, it feels like it gave a good justification for me to do the control. Okay, so now I'm in a position where whatever I'm doing, if I'm doing stock controls, whatever it is, I'm now going to still have control of my, is that my name? Yes. Have control of the card. So it goes in here, like this, or I do this. Okay, great. Now, would you give these a shuffle? Can you give them any mix you like? Great, done. Now I wait, I hold out. Okay. Now, not only is this control really good, there's a card in there now that is apparently, it is theirs, it's mine, but in this case, but it's now being shuffled inside the deck. I can now use this, the fact that they're shuffling and the fact that I'm palming, to my advantage. So I'll say, just before they hand it back, I'll say, oh, just before you give it, just make sure you haven't accidentally shuffled it to the top or the bottom of the deck. And this is great. And they go, no. Now they have no idea what's coming in the effect, but it just feels like a reasonable thing to do. I first developed this for something I published in Inside Out, and also had this in the family, something called Hidden Ambition. In fact, the first two phases of this are going to be almost identical to that. But this is a very different approach to the ambitious card, which we'll see. Anyway, the point is that by getting them to just check the top and bottom, they now know they've shuffled the deck, so it doesn't matter anyway, and they go, oh no. Now it seems like it's just a reasonable thing to do. Oh yeah, I could have accidentally shuffled it to top or bottom. So I'll make sure. There we go. I hand it over. It doesn't give away anything of the effect, but it makes it feel like they now know that card isn't there. So when I take this back, I'm going to add this onto the top. Now there are a number of ways to add this onto the top. I'll show you a couple of things in a second, but the basic way is as my hand comes over like this, I'm basically going to allow this part of the card to be pinned there as my second finger underneath kind of pulls it over. And this happens as the hands meet and I square them up. What I'm not doing is coming fully flat over the top. I'm coming in at an angle. If we see from the top on the top camera, you'll actually see this kind of come across. Especially if I leave it face up, you'll see how it gets added on. You'll see like this. So actually the fingers kind of square it up as I then move the hands together. There's lots of different ways that you can do this. You could kind of just move it around in the hands. You could even dribble the cards and add this on. There's lots of different ways that you could potentially do this. I just try and do it in the cleanest, most simple way possible. And often I do it, if you look from the front camera now, I do it as I bring my hands up and gesture. And now look, you can see nothing in the hands even, and it's already been added to the top. And this is because as I come in, I'm doing the move, but then my hands are coming up like this. So if I do this face down, which is the better way to do it, I can say now, you've given these a mix, okay, and there's no way of controlling the order of these. Your card is somewhere inside. And they go, yes. They subtly know, well, they already know that it's not on top. Okay, so this really creates the most clean impression to start off with. Now, a quick tip that I'll also give you, this again is something that took me many years to figure out, is that when receiving the deck back from them, I actually don't ask them to do this because they might put it in my hand in an awkward way and it's always very tricky. I just basically, when I've given them the deck to shuffle, I take the deck back with 2 fingers and a thumb. Because if you ask for the deck in that way, you've got to take the deck back. When they put it in, doesn't matter which orientation they put the deck in, they can only put it in your hand in some form of orientation like this, which means there's a natural reason for your other hand to come over and readjust. Even if they put it in this way, it's easy just to come over and readjust, and you have a very natural looking way to add that on. As opposed to if you hold your hand out, sometimes they put the cards in such strange orientations in your hand that now you've got a palm here and you've now got this kind of really awkward fumbling, or you've got this kind of weird moment where they can't drop it in, or sometimes they can't even put the cards in your hand properly because they kind of hand it to you like this and they try and do this. It's very bizarre. Whereas if you just do this, they just know they've got to put it in there. So in doing that, I now have this palmed. If they were to do that, I take this back, square this up and say, okay, now you've shuffled these. It's your card's lost inside, but you've also signed your name on it so we can try and find it. And I'm in this really clean position. And what I'm going to start doing now is basically getting to this position here. They know it's not on bottom and not on top. Okay, ready. That's why I got them to check it. This is why I love this control. Now, at this point, I'll say to them, okay, and here's the idea. The idea is to get your card that's signed, wherever it is, to just go through all of the cards, right, and go all the way to the top, right? But you'll actually see the move. It's hard to see. And all I do each time is I just squeeze. I'm just going to squeeze something right up with my fingertips like this. So I'm going to keep this like this and just squeeze that card like that right in front of them. That's it. And then I'm going to reach over, and this is the other move that I'm going to try and condition, which is like just pulling it off the back here like this in a very clean way. So I'm just going to come over like this, lift up, and bear in mind, they know that it's not on top or bottom because they checked it. So when I do that, I do this, we have a look, I pull this up towards myself, and we show this, okay? This is such a clean moment. It will get a great reaction because it feels like, what the heck? It doesn't feel like there's anything going on. In this moment, what I do is I just drop the deck. In this reaction, as I'm showing, is when I drop the deck down to my hand. Now, in this reaction, I'm going to come over and do a top change as I ask them to lift off, say, half, and I open my hand out. Now, in doing that, in opening my hand out, I'm also showing how fair this is, okay? They take off half, and when they take off half, I drop this inside. I get them to place that half on top like that. And then again, I come up to this position right in front of them, like that, same position. I just squeeze like this. Again, it will come all the way up like this, and we do this. And it's like you've done the same thing twice in a row from a lost position. Just, you've already conditioned quite a lot, and I'm just conditioning this position. Now what I do is I relax a little bit on this third beat, okay? And what I do is I say, now look, this is even if we lose this inside, genuinely just lose that, right? Now what I've done in doing that is I've actually controlled it to the third position from the top. Now there are many ways to do this, but I'll show you what I do. I put this on, I say, now look, we can actually even do this, and I'm going to shuffle, you look on the overhead of this face up on top. I said we can even lose this randomly. I chop off one, I put one down on top, and then I do the lift shuffle, after putting one on top. So now I shuffle that all the way to the top. Now I do a riffle shuffle, adding one to the top. This means that anyone watching really sees the cards kind of mix. They see the top cards mix, but you've actually had a very precise positioning here, and you've put it to the third card down. So yeah, the flow of that is the first one comes up to the top like this, boom. I relax, as I say, lift off half of those for me. They lift off half, that goes in. You say, look again, it's very difficult to see. Like I said, it's impossible to see, and yet that still comes all the way up to the top. They react, bang. Now I'll just drop this on and say, look, to be honest, we can lose this anywhere in the deck. It really doesn't matter where it is. Now it's a third. And so at this point, I'll say, look, it's shouldn't be. Hopefully it's not anywhere near the bottom. Hopefully it's not near the top. And in showing the top two, as I push off the first one, as I push off the second one, I subtly, you can see on the overhead here, subtly push off that third one, which will be the selection. And in doing so, it allows me to pull it back and get a break underneath it. So I can kind of show here, it's not, hopefully it's not anywhere near the top. I put it back and get a break underneath it, okay? Now I square up I lift it up to my fingertips again, but I still maintain that break. So as I lift it up to the fingertips, I come close to them like this, and I say, look, you may even see from the side, and often I do this. I squeeze the cards like that. You can see that in the overhead there, and from here. And again, if your break holding's good, you shouldn't be able to see a break anywhere on that, yet I'm still holding a break on the bottom corner here of 3 cards, okay? So I do this. Now this turn is the only one where I tend not to turn it over in exactly the same way because I have a triple. And so by altering the procedure slightly, this still feels clean. You see this strange breathing action, and this breathing action is one of those flourishes that we had in the basic handling, this idea of being able to squeeze and air the side of the deck like that. And it just feels, if you look at it, like something is moving, even though nothing has, okay? So it feels like something is moving. And then all I do is I drop the deck down, and immediately my right hand lifts off those 3 forward and just turns it over as if it was expected, and that's what was happening the whole time. You know, it was inevitable. They just react to this moment. Now we're going to go back into that hyper-conditioned kind of view where I turn this down, and as I turn it down, I allow this triple, which is what this is. Let me briefly explain that again. I've still got the break. I do this, and the break is here at the back, and I immediately just kind of come forward. I talked about this simple version of the double lift when we were talking about the push-off. I showed you this way of doing it, which is just immediately, just my right hand just grabs all of them and moves them over, and the thumb moves along with it. So I just squeeze like this, move that over to the side and turn that over into this finger cage type position. I can still orientate this. Bang. This feels very free and fair and fingertippy. Now, when I turn this down, as I turn it down, I'm going to allow it to hit the flesh. I'm exposing this for now, the flesh of my thumb here. So as I turn it down, I allow it to hit the flesh of the thumb, and it allows me to easily pop it over into a finger break again on those 3 cards. Let me show that again. So I'm going to turn that over. It's going to hit the base of flesh that's here at the base of the deck. So as it turns over, it hits that, but I get my thumb out of the way and I clamp my thumb onto it. And in doing so, I'm kind of exaggerating it here. It's going to pop this up, but it's going to pop up along the whole back end. And now I can just leave my finger in there and take my flesh out. And now it's under a break here. I raise this up to my fingertips. I now have a break under those 3. I slide it off and push it back into the middle. Look, and I can just tap it all the way in. Look, watch. And that's right up at the fingertips again. Like this. And now we're going to do a double right up at the fingertips. And by holding it right up at the fingertips, I've got this break right at the back. I'm now going to come over, put my thumb on that, and start sliding my finger backwards. And as I slide my finger backwards, I lift up. So I just start moving my finger, and then I just move everything backwards. And I put all the pressure down on that corner. So this really feels like you've just turned over the top card, whereas in fact, you're doing a double. If this was in the hands, doing a double this way doesn't feel as natural because you would just push it off with your thumb. But because it's up at the fingertips, you don't have the ability to use your thumb or fingers to do anything else with the cards. This hand has to come over and take the card off. And we've already conditioned this movement from previous attempts at the beginning where we've been turning it over. So you create this really clean impression of turning this card over when in fact it's a double. And as you turn it over, I then turn it round and show it to them. And they see that this is now their card. So let me just go back a stage. We'll do aspects of that again. So first one, it goes on with the palm, comes up to the top. And again, look, we're conditioning this. We show, we come down to the hand. Top change, lift off half. They lift off half, this goes in, I go up to the fingertips. Again, we squeeze, we do this. Look how we're turning this over. Showing here. Now I relax. I'll say, look, to be honest, we can lose that, anywhere inside the deck. It doesn't really matter. Any random position, hopefully it's not, on the bottom or somewhere near the top. And in this action, I have that. But look, we can still bang. I just turn that over and we have that here. Turn that over onto the fleshy part of the thumb, establish the break with a little finger, move it up to the fingertips, slide off the top card, being careful not to flash this, move that into the middle of the deck like this. And again, we can do that squeeze or something like that. And now I reach over, snap this off towards myself. This is a double, turning this around and showing them. And I almost treat this like the final one, right? And I'm just like, yep, I might move this double over to the other hand and move it back again. It just feels super clean, and it's their signature they're seeing each time. Now we're going to get into the pop-up move. I say to them, look, you know what, let me show it to you one last time. I said at the beginning, there might be a way for you to see it, but let me actually show you this. Now we're going to do the Miller pop-up move. And again, it's going to fall into the same conditioning, the same visual conditioning that we created before. And to do this, what I do is I'm just going to hold the middle of the card across the middle like that, lift up both ends and create a big bend, basically until they touch. Okay, so I'm lift them both up like that until they touch, putting a bend right the way across both of those cards. Then I'm going to take the double by this end here and turn it down. And as I turn it down, I'm just going to make sure it hits and scrapes that front so it keeps everything together. If you have very, very warm and hot conditions, this is a moment where it could kind of come apart, but there's nothing you can do about it. The flow and the speed of this means they'll never notice there are two there. The reason I have my fingers on the side again is so that there's no chance of it splitting and you seeing two cards anywhere. So as soon as I'm here, I then take those, I turn it down onto the deck. There's now two bent cards on top of the deck. So I immediately grab the deck by its ends and I lift up on half, and you slide this top card off onto that side as my finger pushes down on this here, okay? Protecting this bend as you show it to them like this and say, look, you can actually see that bend. This now comes down on top. Say, look, see that in the middle. And now you squeeze this again, all up to the fingertips, you squeeze. And now you come to that same position again that you've been in each time. And you say, look, watch, this time you might actually see it. 1, 2, 3. And now it pops up. And now they see it. You make sure you keep the rest of the deck together. Again, try and take this off in that same way you have before. Turn around and show that this is the card. Sometimes what you can do now is execute a Charlier cut. And if you do, that bent card will be at the bottom. Okay, and you can hand this to them. I quickly come out. As you can see, it's now on the bottom. I just kind of go push in the middle and put it back. And now everything will be straight and there won't be another bend in the deck. There's so much heat on that moment, they'll never see that. And now everything's back to normal. Okay, so that is Unreal ACR. Unreal ACR, and the whole structure of that routine. There are many ways to do an ambitious card routine, and most of the time people think about it as a means to jazz, and it is a nice way to jazz, I suppose. I quite like to have a kind of a structure and a form for it, a flow and an agenda, something I'm trying to do with it. Some routines I've tried to create something hyper simple and feeling like it's happening in their hands or like one phased. Some routines I've played with this idea of slowly leading them down the garden path. I have something called the New Theory ACR, which is about slowly guiding them from a place of sleight of hand towards magic and cleanliness. There's other versions I have, like M Theory, based on a Gary Kurtz idea, which is based on messing with time and space. There's lots of different ways of playing with the simple structure of having something just rise. You can have the same with a transformation. Just a very simple structure allows that. This particular handling, I've never published anywhere before and was kept specifically for this project. And I love it because it's designed to create this hyper clean handling. And there's some clever subtleties going on in it. It's tricky to execute, but if you kind of practice all of those elements, you'll have something very, very powerful and hyper clean. It feels very abstract to a layman. It doesn't feel like a card trick. You're not finding their card. As soon as you're not finding their card, what are you doing? It feels like a very, very abstracted thing entirely, but it's also hyper visual. And they're involved in parts of it. They're cutting things off and they're watching it happen. And no matter how close they look, they just can't see it until the very end. All of a sudden they see it.
I just love that idea of kind of leading towards that Miller pop-up move. And that pop-up move, you have to give credit to Charlie Miller, magician from many, many decades ago, who came up with that move for the ambitious card routine. It's a very, very, very powerful thing. But what I wanted to do was create a structure, a routine that led towards it and created this real impression of like fingertip cleanliness. And really what you're doing is a number of different subtle approaches the whole way through. You're not repeating the same move over and over again. If you look at the structure of it, the first time it rises, you added a palmed card that they didn't know. Then you use a top change. Then you actually just put it, randomly shuffled it, really. Actually, you controlled it to third position, and you showed a multiple lift. Then you showed another multiple lift, but in a very, very different way, until finally you're basically exploiting this visual quirk with the bend. And so you have this really nice progression where you're not repeating the same move over and over again, and yet you still have this thing that feels like they're just watching the same thing happen over and over again, even though you're using different moves. And that's why I had to have that visual structure at the end. So even if there were subtle differences in the setups for like either a top change and lift, or let's shuffle first, or this, there's this heart of it that feels the same each time, which is this moment. So that it feels like they're watching the same thing. And at the very end, they get to see it again, except this time it pops. And that moment, they feel like that's what was happening the entire time. It's just that there was no bend in it. So yes, creates that unreal impression, hyper reality, fun stuff. Go out there and make cards rise in an unreal way.